Hello there boys and some girls, I played Solasta 2 Early Access until the game said stop, we don't have any more to show you. And here's my honest take about how the game is right now. Story and writing, this is probably my biggest disappointment so far. They try to do these like grand story setting and epic reveals, but at the same time the story is structured that you uncover the characters and their history as you play the game. It doesn't work well with like making big things right from the start. During those big decision moments, I just didn't feel anything for the characters. I was just thinking, do I let this guy die or not? Because I was worried about progression in the game, not because I actually cared for the character. Unfortunately, you can't have it both ways. Either wait a little bit before you do all those big emotional moments, or just reveal the history as you play the game. Like I said, so far the story has been a pretty big letdown. Out of the two major decisions right from the start, both of them were duds. The first one is accepting or rejecting, I think Maraike is the name you say. I think you say Maraike. She's basically like the goddess of this world, like the good goddess. There's good and bad, so she's like the good one. The first one is deciding, do you accept her covenant, her quest basically, or do you reject it? You don't get to reject it. If you reject it, you get an immediate game over and you die. So you have to accept it in order to save your brother or whatnot. And that's pretty much the first decision that is not really a decision. You're kind of forced to accept. The second one is the surrendering to the elves in the Neokos Empire or Neokos continent. No matter what dialogue option you choose, you pick, you try, every path is going to lead to you surrendering to the knights. There's no real choices once again over here. I would love even to see the option to fight them, lose to them because they're way stronger than you. They have like 10 times your HP. And lose them and get taken to the prison anyway. But give somebody the decision. People wants to like fight it out and try. Maybe somebody else is going to be able to do it. You don't know that. So, you know. Another big example is Diorkis. She is the biological daughter of our adoptive mother. She's supposedly angry because she didn't get to talk to her mother before the mother died. After her whole life, she took on like the Maraike's covenant, the Maraike's quest. She took on from her mother, so it kind of like her whole life she did something her mother wanted and she didn't get to like say goodbye when her mother died. She's angry. I can understand that. This whole situation, this whole game could have probably been prevented if during the mother's funeral we would have stopped I can say her name, Diorkis, from going crazy and hitting people in the funeral. Just that simple thing. Before the funeral, you even get to allocate roles to all 4 of the siblings, like the golden child, the problem child, bookworm, and the protective sibling, but it barely comes up later on in the game at all. I expected the protective sibling to say something, but of course this would have ended the story after 10 minutes, so we can't have that. Why could we not just ask Diorkis about the covenant when we talk to her? Instead, she just gets angry and runs away, forcing a whole quest on us. It feels like it's very lazy writing. On the Neokos Empire, there is another example where a rebel tells us a secret while we are in prison waiting for a story to be verified by the knights I mentioned beforehand. The rebel is in the cell adjacent to us, and then 2 seconds later we get dragged in front of the most powerful person on the continent who obviously opposes those rebels. Wouldn't this be the perfect moment to let us choose a side and rat the rebels out? Instead, nothing happens. The guards saw us getting told the secret by the rebel, but he never said anything about it. He never pursued it. He never asked us any question. Nobody threatens us, even though we are already prisoners. Feels like a waste of story, a waste of lore. The party of 4 basically acts like one person. There are so many moments where a little character action could have changed the story dramatically, but instead it's still pretty much like inaction, just standing around being surprised. Every dialogue choice changed only a little bit about how you speak. It doesn't really matter, like everything is going to end up the same, unfortunately. Now you might come here and say, hey, Solasta is a bit more of a linear story. It's a little bit more this, a little more that, so choices shouldn't matter. It's more like a flavor text. It's not really should be that impactful. To that I'll say, go to the Steam page. On the Steam page, the devs write themselves as the final sentence for the whole blog post about the game. You make the choices, DICE decides your destiny. I think it's a little bit of an hypocrisy. I think it's more like the devs make the choices and fate decide your dice. So, yeah. Overall, the writing feels cringy, it's full of holes, and the setup is confusing and it's lacking any emotions. It feels really like a Baldur's Gate 3 at home. If this is very similar to Solasta 1 in the way the story and everything goes, I can understand why Solasta 1 wasn't that much of a popular game. Like, it didn't go up that high. People played it, but it wasn't that much. Now, the inevitable part. Why is Baldur's Gate 3 comparison fair? Yes, Larian had a bigger team, 140 people around the Baldur's Gate 3 early access, and then there were like 400 at one point. Solasta 2 is like 30, 40 people right now. I know that. They charge you $60 for the game, and it's heavily marketed at this like narrative CRPG with meaningful choices. Players are going to judge the game based on what is the standard in the genre right now. If you go to a high-end restaurant and you eat a meal there, then you go and eat the same meal at the food stand, would you not judge the food stand by the same standard as the restaurant, the same meal? Would you not judge that? I think you would, and I would, because it's only fair, it's only logical. It's the same thing in two different places. Obviously, you judge it. I don't want to explain the gameplay systems too much because it's just basically D&D or Baldur's Gate 3. It's solid tactical D&D combat. It feels very similar to Baldur's Gate 3, just a little bit worse because of the occasional errors like target not sensed, that even with magic missile which has 100% accuracy, or if you're right inside the enemy's face, sometimes you just can't target the enemies. I just don't understand that. It's the same issue when you're trying to revive allies sometimes. But still, the core combat loop is, well, it works fair enough. You get rewarded for being smart. If you strategically place your range higher up and you place your melee close up, you're gonna get rewarded for it. If in a dark cave, you're gonna use lanterns on your melee characters and get close to the enemies, it's gonna light them up and it's gonna increase your accuracy percentages. It works. You get rewarded for thinking, for playing right. So this is I really like. I like the overworld map and how you have to use long rests strategically while you're actually roaming around the open world map, triggering story moments, finding resources just by exploring like random tiles around the map. It's nice, it's fun, I really love this. You gotta decide, do you want to push your party a little bit further and that they might be exhausted and get ambushed while they're exhausted? There is some things like that, and I really like that. It's very smart. I do have an inkling of doubt, an inkling of I'm a little bit scared what's gonna happen once this turns into like a 50-hour game. Is this gonna be a grind? Is this gonna be a chore rounding around the map, constantly resting and just going from one side of the map to the other one just to try to complete the quest? Because it is something that happens in this game right now. So I am a little bit worried. You go and you just talk to a person in that map and then you go all the way back and you talk to another person. I am a little bit worried, but I guess we'll see, right? Items are you're free to loot them as much as you want. There's no stealing mechanics in the game so far. I don't even know if they plan to add this. It kind of killed the whole feeling that the world is alive for me. Everything is just placed there for you. It doesn't feel like it's somebody else's. Like everything is just for you. It's kind of like, you know, kills the immersion. Certain interactables like some corpses don't actually show up orange when you press Alt, which is the highlight key, by the way, in Baldur's Gate 3 and in this game as well. This led to me wasting almost an hour because I just couldn't find a single piece that was missing, which was in a dark corner on a corpse on the side. Eventually I found it, but it wasted a decent bit of time for me. Another thing that I think is a bug is when you click on an object while the camera is looking through a wall or through a hard object, you will not register the click on the ground, but actually on the object that is actually blocking you. Even if the camera doesn't show up the object, like it's invisible to you because you're inside the object, the camera, when you click, is going to click on the object. And sometimes you'll be confusing, why are my characters not moving right now? That's the reason. Change your camera perspective so you're not inside of a wall and everything will be fine. Now, for the technical state of the game crashed right after character creation. Really was not a lot of fun. It's not the most, like, it's not the great first impression for the game, right? Overall, it was pretty rough. I had constant frame drops, freezes, graphical glitches, almost in every scene, in every cutscene. It's crazy. I know it's early access, but it's pretty bad right now. I had to lower my settings a lot just to play the game. There was also a funny bug where I had like double NPCs in the same spot. I could enlist one of them to my party, the other one I couldn't. I don't understand that, but hey, it's funny nonetheless. So finally, I'm disappointed. The story and the writing are the weakest parts right now, and those are very hard to fix late in development. Nobody's gonna bring in the writers again, the voice recordings again, nobody's gonna redo the lines and everything like that. So the story is gonna stay as it's gonna stay, and that's pretty much it. Sadly, but it is what it is. Combat is very serviceable, it's fun. Exploration has some nice moments to it. There was even a moment when I found a kobold when I was just running around, and instead of killing it, I said I'm gonna spare it, I'm gonna help it get back home. And then he joined my party. It had like 3 HP or 5 HP, it was a child kobold. And I think he died at some point, but during my main playthrough, I'll try not to kill it again. I don't know where their home is, and kobold attacked me and nothing happened. Even though, you know, kobold on kobold violence, nobody said anything. But yeah, it is what it is. Overall, Baldur's Gate 3 at home feels very much like it described this game perfectly. I don't think $60 is worth it at the moment. I'm gonna check back closer to 1.0 or at launch even. If you're a big fan of Solasta 1 or tactical D&D games, you might actually enjoy this game more than I did. For everybody else, just wait for updates. Maybe even skip this one if you're not that much big on like turn-based RPGs. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, thank you. If you didn't, let me know so I can improve. Besides that, keep safe and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.